Hi there and welcome to the latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Please, folks, do not forget to be subscribing to said YouTube channel so you do not miss an episode of this craziness. Also, don't forget to head over to patspropaganda.com and head over to the prop shop to pick up your Pat's Propaganda exclusive design t-shirts. There is still the 28-3, the iconic one, that is still available. You'll also get the likes of Ben Not Break on defense, and of course your tight endage, and I love tight ends and I cannot lie shirts. So please, patspropaganda.com. So I welcome in my co-host, as usual. It is Washington superfan convert Chudders from Manchester. Chudders, how are things with you?
That's disgraceful, that, Claire. I would never, mock you for the players that you really like coming out of a draft.
Oh, no, never, ever, ever. And you wouldn't send me messages saying how wonderful Jayden Daniels is with eyeball emojis and such.
Between the top three players in the draft and how well they performed in their first
pre-season.
Correct, yes.
Pre-season. Yes, folks, this is an insight into the rubbing that we're giving each other because I have taken it for so long in regards to Ryan's. I'm finally getting my own back because Chudders, as you guys know, is a big Jayden Daniels fan. Sending messages say, look, how good. And I'm like, I can't believe we're going there. It's the preseason. And it's the preseason. But we aren't a Washington team podcast, even though, I don't know, you might be doing an offshoot when we conclude. But I understand that there is a player that you do want to talk about who isn't a Patriot before we get on to the preseason stuff. And I think it's something to do with a certain wide receiver that didn't come to the Patriots. So that was my pushback on this one. He didn't come to the Patriots. So why are we discussing him? However, I do understand that you want the floor on this one, Chudders. So here we go.
I'll try and be brief. And obviously lots been said about this. The idea is we're working through this chronologically in our show today. So this is the first bit of Pat's news, I guess, of the past week or two. It's Brandon Aiyuk, and I'm sure a lot of other fellow Patriots fans wanted the Pats to sign him, weren't necessarily expecting that the Pats were going to win that bid. But then as news came out, it was stronger. The Pats had a bid that had been accepted. It looked closer and closer and closer. Hopes got high of, well, maybe we are going to wake up to some good news one day. And then it all fell apart. And the statement was released that the Patriots are no longer in the running. They're very happy with their wide receiver. Now, what I wanted to bring up was, to me, this really hit home that there is a hell of a lot of pressure on Drake May this year, because to me this adds to it, because what this showed was the Patriots were clearly willing to give up enough capital to get these players, because that had been stated and widely reported, should I say, that the bid had been accepted, and by all accounts the Patriots were offering the sort of money that he was looking for as well. The reason he chose not to come to the Patriots is because they are not going to offer him the best chance of winning football games, which I completely understand. But that's a story you're going to find until that turns around. And the reality is, the person you need that to turn around is Drake May. You look like
that was the definite reported that he didn't come to New England because the prospects of going to the Super Bowl. Is that what was reported? I didn't see that, so I'm what the frustration, the pushback that I've got on this is, I think I actually tweeted it out because it hit me one evening and I was already in a bad mood, that we're assuming that it's because of the likes of Drake May that he's not coming here. We're assuming it's because, the team is poor. So there's 31 other teams who were amazing that he wouldn't have turned down. No. So there's various reasons why someone doesn't go to a team. It isn't always because they are, I won't swear, even though I think we can, crap. we know, and I know we're going to talk about the Panthers game. We're going to talk about the joint practice. The Patriots aren't great at the moment. They are rebuilding. But to say that's the only reason he's not coming, even though they throw cash at him, I think is a little narrow-minded, because there could be a million reasons why he doesn't want to come. For a start, it's really expensive to live in Massachusetts.
So to clarify one thing, I'm saying because they have Drake May that players won't come here in a negative sense of players aren't going to think that he's a good quarterback or whatever else. It's more that he's an unknown. And he's the player who can turn the Patriots from a 3-win team to a 10-win team, let's say, and let's go to dreamland. That, and it might take 2-3 seasons to get there, but ultimately they're hitching their wagon now to, we need Drake May to be our franchise quarterback. And if you hit on him, then you can start attracting players who will want to come and play in New England around him. And it's widely reported as well that next offseason there will be a number of receivers who are up for their second contracts, or their contracts will be expiring, and could be available either through trade because the teams want to grab something last minute for them, or because the player doesn't want to be there anymore. And so there could be the opportunity to be trying to attract one of those top name players. However, and I appreciate different players will have different reasons to sign for a team, as you say. Some of them, realistically, it might be money. They just want the biggest bag. And if the Patriots offer the biggest bag, then maybe they'll win that battle. But also these top players, particularly players who have not won Super Bowls yet, the likelihood is that they will be looking to get some good money, but somewhere where they have an opportunity to win. And Drake May is probably the biggest component in making you one of those teams that players will want to come here because they'll think they can win.
But Brissett's the starter anyway, so shouldn't. Now I'm playing devil's advocate here because I don't believe this, but throwing this out there, Cam Newton was a draw for players several years ago because he was a seasoned veteran. We have a seasoned veteran who has been named as the starter. So if you're looking at Drake May as the draw, he isn't going to have chance to show you if he's a draw, potentially until later in the season, because of what we've been told. Now, that could change. We are sitting here in pre-season on the 14th of August, so that's fine. But that's another thing, is you're saying there's no draw because he's the quarterback. Well, technically he isn't. Jacoby Brissett is.
So I don't think Aiyuk or any other player would be coming here because they see Brissett and that's who they want to be.
Well, no, I'm just throwing other things at you, the other situations.
I think it's more the opposite, and they would be hoping, okay, I'll come here, but I hope Brissett isn't our quarterback for too long, and we can start building something with Drake May. I don't think Brissett is in any way that sort of player. The difference between Brissett and Cam Newton was a league MVP, albeit quite a few years before. He was veteran of elite play, where Brissett has never been that. He's been a journeyman backup, essentially.
Yeah,
he's
fair.
Lots, but he's not a starting caliber quarterback. Cam Newton, you might
he's
have
a
thought,
starting quarterback.
Yeah. What is it Andy Hart says? There are starting quarterbacks and there are quarterbacks who start. And I think that latter is more where we are. And that's also something we can debate later on in this show as well.
Because there's not enough time in the day to debate everything that we need to debate, to be fair. And I just want to point out that my comment about how expensive it is to live in Massachusetts was a playful one, because I know obviously the players have got plenty of money so they can live where they want. I'm just trying to push back on the fact that people are looking at the only reason he didn't come here is because the Patriots are crap. And I just think it's so, it's so tunnel vision to just think that. Personally, my opinion, but each to their own. You know, I'll fan my way, you fan yours. It's just I find that outlook a little bit frustrating when there's so many bigger pictures. There's just so much else that we can take into consideration, and we only want to look down one route. But anyway, that's just me having my rant now, which nobody wants to hear. So
Let's move on. That was just a piece I wanted to say. I thought it added more pressure to May, so we will see how that plays out with talent acquisition over the next couple of years.
I'll admit I don't agree with you. I very much see your point. I don't think you're wrong per se, but I also don't agree with you.
Right, and I said we're going to move on. Why do you think Aiyuk didn't come?
No, yes, for the reasons. I just don't believe that that's the sole reason. Is where I was going. That was all. But like you said, let's move on because we are going to run out of time.
I hope it is.
Completely.
I think you could be right, but in a way, my hope is that I'm right. Not because I like being right, but because if there's other reasons, he doesn't like the coaching setup, or he doesn't like the weather, or he thinks it's expensive. Those are things you can't change, really. I mean, you can change your coaching setup, but there isn't a desire, I would like to think, to do that for a number of years. You can't change the weather. You're going to change the house prices. I'm hoping it's as simple as, well, hang on, we can develop Drake May to be an elite quarterback who attracts players, attracts talent. The other things you can't change. And my optimism is almost, well, I hope you're wrong, because if you're right and there's other things, then we've got a bigger problem.
No, not necessarily, because the other bigger things could be his personal life of where he wants to be that has absolutely nothing to do with New England, Massachusetts, East Coast, whatever. There's so many things we don't know about this individual to know what motivates him as to what's going on in his personal life. That is what I'm saying. There is a bigger picture as to what you do, why you do it, and things like that. And so I just found it a little bit frustrating that. But anyway, let's move on because it's wasting time now.
The game against the
Panthers
game. Did you enjoy it? Was it good to have football back? What were your thoughts?
It was good to have football back. The trouble is I don't like preseason because it doesn't mean anything. And I get the whole reps thing and everything, but I want real, full-blown, hardcore, all the lead football. Real football. Proper. Who the starters are. Aiming to win. Defense kicking everybody's ass. I want that. That's why I enjoy football. I want proper football. So for me, it is just a reps thing, and it's just seeing, and we can't even, it feels like we can't take a lot away from it. Oh, I'm being really negative now. It just feels like there's not a lot we can take away from it because we don't see half the players because they don't want to get them injured or they're already injured and things like this. It's, I don't know. I want give me real football.
Who were the positive players that you thought came out of the game?
But there was, yes, I did have a good list. All the guys on my good list, I think, were defense. The defense played well. But it's all names that are backup names, I guess, if you like. But defense was what I thought was the best, generally speaking. Concerned about the O-line as usual.
Yeah, agree with you.
I loved how Wallace, the wide receiver, he had a couple of good kick returns, punt returns, and I just the broadcasters were really high on him. I think it was Zoe. Kept talking about him. If I'm thinking rightly, if that's who I listened to, and I just thought it was funny because it was like, it's preseason. We may not see this guy again, but let's just chant his name loads of times. But yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling. I'm struggling because for me it's like, just give me real football.
I'll kick you off on defense then. I thought Farms had a good game.
Yeah.
He obviously, Barmore being out, that's a hole that needs filling. He showed he has the potential. He could be someone who fills that on some downs. I thought he had a good game. Like you say, it's preseason. You can't read a hell of a lot, but in all honesty, you can't ask any more than what he gave you. I don't think. He made some plays. He made things happen. That's what you want to see. These players who are on the fringe, who you don't necessarily have penciled into your 53, you want to see them step up and make an impact on the game. That's what he did.
Yeah. Agreed.
I thought Judon had a good game. No.
Judon didn't play.
Exactly.
Judon didn't.
So another talking.
Are you trying to see if I'm paying attention?
Yeah. Well,
you back of class. Come on, stop chattering.
Take a swipe at Judon and that whole situation and how that's going to play out. and he's had a good week of practice, albeit in his own way. He's been a tryhard, but I do fear that that's a relationship that's going to end shortly. Whether he's traded away, I suppose he's not going to get cut, but that doesn't look like it's shaping in the right direction at the moment. And that again is a worry, because it's again, there was discussions he could be a mate weight in part of a trade deal for Aiyuk and all this. He's like, okay, that could make sense, but now it just appears that relationship is deteriorating, doing what he wants to do, not necessarily the Patriots wanted to do. He clearly wants more money, and they're obviously not finding a solution to that at the moment. And I do feel like that's trending in the wrong direction. You wanted a new head coach to come in, implement his philosophy, and to attract new players and retain the existing top end talent. And this is an example of probably one of your very maybe top 3 players, if not higher than that. And it's not going well, which is a shame. And I get it in some ways, because he's not necessarily the long-term solution. He's not going to be, like I said last time, he's probably not going to be on the next Super Bowl winning Patriots team. But you'd like to have thought it would have gone differently. When you've seen players like Slater, McCourtney, Andrews over the years, your leaders in the clubhouse, if you like, who in the locker room, who set an example to other players, and you feel like that's possibly not happening with Judon at the moment. He's not showing you the way you want your elite stars to be behaving, I guess, in training and negotiations. But we'll see how that one plays out. Right, back to the game.
I was just going to say, have we moved on from the game and then we'll move into practice?
I noted you done, and as we're on the defense, I thought normally a defense second, so I thought I was going to use that as a way to streamline into the next conversation.
We can just streamline, because I mean, it was a winning. The positive was it was a winning game. The Patriots walked away with a win. So yeah,
you said it doesn't matter.
No, but I'm trying to be positive. I feel like I've been so negative that I'm trying now to be positive.
I was going to leave to last, and I nearly brought it up a minute ago. Situational football. It frustrated the hell out of me that at the end of the half, Drake May didn't get thrown in, because I think the Patriots had a drive with something like 3.5 minutes to go. They then got the ball back. They obviously didn't do much with it. They then got the ball back with about 1 minute 20 to go. And I think Zappi was in at quarterback at that point. I would have loved to have seen them throw Drake May in at those. Says, right, you got 1 minute 20 on the clock here. Can you get us into field goal range? It's situational football. Now, I know you're not going against the number ones of the Panthers, because they rested 33 players. So you were playing against the worst players on the worst team, and you only won 17-3.
Can we please try and lift up the positivity a little? People aren't going to want to watch this, Chudders, if you realise. We're going to have like 2 views, and you'll be wondering why.
I'll be one of them, you'll be the other.
But exactly, that's even worse. I hadn't even thought of that.
But I would have liked to have seen a bit of better situational football. The other thing that annoyed me, at the end of the game, the Patriots were kneeling on the ball. Why are you kneeling on the ball? This result doesn't matter. Why are you seeing out the clock so no one gets injured? Why don't you do that for 60 minutes, if that's the case? The whole point of this is to use it as, again, no one cares about the result. If the Patriots had given up a touchdown on the last drive because they were, a pick six because they were trying to put some plays in the end zone, no one would have cared.
You didn't warn me that you had this much pent-up confidence.
It just annoyed me. I didn't get.
Sorry, folks.
No, they don't care that they lost. We don't care that we won. Why? And with 2 scores ahead anyway, it's not like this is a close game. We need to kneel it out to make sure we come away with that dub. Like, it frustrated me. Let's situational football. Let's pretend we're down a score with 1.5 minutes left. Let's try and go and do something. Practicing kneel downs I didn't think was the right way to be doing things. But hey ho, what do I know? So some positivity. On the offensive side
Please.
now. So I've just said positivity. The first thing I want to say is negative. I thought the receivers struggled. The O-line struggled as well. Running game, I thought Harris looked good.
Yes.
Before I say this, I'm going to throw it out to you, Claire. Is there anyone else on offense you thought looked good?
You're pinpointing the tight ends, aren't you?
No, not at all. That was not exactly.
You're not.
That's not what I was fishing. I was going to ask you about tight ends, but that's not what I was fishing for. I wondered whether the new Zappy took your eye.
Oh, come on! I've never been a big Zappy fan. Come on.
Wait. By the new Zappy, I don't mean Zappy 2024. I mean the new Zappy in Joe Milton, because he is now going to be what Zappy was last year. Of come on, bring Zappy in. It's surely Zappy time. Mac Jones is looking awful. I thought Milton had a good game, and he showed. I think the difference between him and Mays, he showed he's 3 years further in his development.
Mm-hmm.
He showed he was more game ready. Now, I'm not saying he is a better quarterback than Drake. I do not believe that is the case. But I think he showed he was more game ready, and he made some plays, albeit from mistakes, from off script plays. Now, my question to you, to go back about Jacoby Brissett, is we currently have, if you like, four quarterbacks. No one really expects Zappy to stay around. I think we all think he's going to get cut.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say traded, but I can't believe anyone would give you anything for him. He might come back.
Vikings might be suffering.
He might come back. Yeah, that's fair.
If anybody hasn't heard, JJ McCarthy's out with a meniscus injury requiring surgery, so he's not starting the season. So in case anybody had missed the kind of like the NFL news, that's what happened yesterday. So thus my sneaky little comment of maybe Zappy will go there, in case anybody didn't know.
So we don't expect Zappy to stay around.
Okay.
A question I'm throwing out is, what would you think if Jacoby Brissett didn't stick around? There's still the plan that Drake May is our next franchise quarterback. In 4 weeks, 5 weeks, he's going to be starting. He's the one that practices the ones. He's the one we're developing to our starter by the end of the season, winning games or showing progress. I'm not saying Joe Milton's overtaking him in the depth chart, but what if Joe Milton was your starting quarterback week 1, plugging him in to run the plays to what until Drake May is ready?
Why am I surprised that you just like lit this Molotov cocktail and threw it in and ran off? Yeah. Typically. It depends what you mean by Brissett not starting. Has Brissett gone? Have they released him? Do they not have a veteran now? It isn't so much who starts.
You certainly could do that to use up the to free up another roster spot.
See, this I asked that question because that weighs heavily on what my answer would be and what my concerns would be. If Brissett's still in the building, but they want to start Milton, okay, we'll see what happens. If Brissett's not in the building, I'm concerned because he's there for that stability. He's there for that veteran presence. He's there for something in the quarterback room that they sort of lacked recently. Even if he's not, once the release of Brian Hoyer, as much as I never wanted Brian Hoyer to start a game, to really be in a game, I didn't want him not in the quarterback room because of his experience, his skill set in that respect. So starting Milton, whatever, we'll see, kind of thing. If they're starting him because they've release Brissett, that is what is more concerning to me at this point anyway, at the start of the season, shall we say.
I think that's fair. I think you want Brissett to be almost a mentor, to be showing these quarterbacks how to handle themselves. That's on game day, that's in game week, in their preparations, in every aspect. You want as you said, a veteran player in there who's helping to develop the youngsters. And if he wasn't in the room at all, I think that could be a mistake.
The concern with starting Milton is the hype that it could create.
Great.
That's what worries me, because fans go crazy. Some of you fans is crazy.
I agree, but it'll be, if he's performing well enough, it's a valid question. I do fear otherwise. If you, let's say you keep 3 quarterbacks and Brissett's your starter, what do you do with Milton? Because he's not a tradable asset. You're not developing him, because my assumption would be you're developing Drake May. So you're not. It's not like you're trying to develop 2 quarterbacks to see which one wins, if you like. My assumption is you're developing May to be the one. So what are you going to do with Milton? Are you going to make him, again, maybe a situational quarterback? Are you going to be developing him for goal line positions where you think he could be a run pass option because of his size? Or are you developing him as a Hail Mary specialist because he's got such a got an arm? Or are you going to make some wildcat formations with him? Or, is the plan, okay, well, we are going to develop him, but we're going to develop it in a way that we think there could be some little tricks up our sleeves with him. If he's just the 3rd quarterback on the roster, it's surely not going to go very, very far until Brissett moves on.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say. But
in a way, but
are we looking at Brissett for 1 year though? Do we just need him? Is he just the training wheels that the quarterback room needs for 1 year? Under new coaching staff, under all this newness, is there that one underlying stability, experience, the calming, that kind of thing? We kind of need to move on to joint practice, else we won't have any time to talk about it.
Well, one last very quick question. Was there anything from the tight ends that stood out to you that you wanted to mention from the game?
That Wilcox got a lot of reps. A lot of reps. His first quarter was not great. His second quarter, he had some better points. I did notice that he had a couple of better blocks than he had in the first quarter. He had a good catch, got his fingers under the ball, good catch in the second quarter. However, progressing into practice, again, he's having a lot of reps, and it's very up and down. He's very inconsistent. Now, unfortunately, that might be the situation that he is as a player. I mean, he has got 4 years under his belt, so he's 27. He's not brand new the way that Jaheim Bell obviously is, rookie into the league. So I'm interested why they're sort of giving him so many reps. Maybe they know something about him that we don't, and he needs to blossom a bit better, and he's going to be that tight end 3, that TE3, because they seem to rely heavily from the joint practice to kind of migrating into that. From what I heard on PU, is they did seem to be utilising the tight ends quite considerably in the offence. Hooper was possibly one of their better offensive players. Granted, he wasn't all good in the practice with the Eagles, but he is one of the better ones right now. Again, we've got Hunter Henry out, unfortunately, which I hate. I hate the fact that we're sitting here in preseason and my tight end has already got an injury. I'm not happy about that. So nervous breakdown over there kind of thing right now. But I do like what they're doing in regards to utilising the tight ends as, a strength in the offence. It's just I'm not sure if Wilcox is strong enough to be tight end 3, or are they just having him there to show Bell? Really, I don't really know if that would necessarily work. Sort of sitting him so he can see what's going on. Really, he'd probably be better playing himself. But it's not sure who your TE3 is, but it looks like that's needed. And that's not from my angle of I love tight ends, so I just want them all, which is true. We know this. It looks like the offense is going to need that stability of 3 of them. So that's my point on the matter. About you?
Similar. I thought Wilcox saw a lot of game time. And yeah, does it mean that there's something on the horizon for him? Maybe similar to Jennings as a running back, who had quite a few plays as well, showed a little bit. Again, is this just you're trying to show fringe players to see what they've got on a practice squad, or are they really competing for a 53? Is it just you don't want your starters eating up reps, so you're going to give these backups loads of reps just to protect your starters?
Yeah. Were all of his reps, sorry to interrupt you, were all of his reps what you would have utilised Hunter in had it been a game situation? So is it a case of you don't have Hunter injury, but you maybe wouldn't use him anyway to the risk of getting injured? So what you're actually doing is you're targeting 87 considerably because you would be targeting 85 considerably. So is that a reflection of that? In which I hope so, because that would be delicious. So then I say this is why I want the season. Give me the season. Give me football. Give me real tight ends. Give me real throwing them out of the club and physicality. I want it all.
So moving on to joint practice with the Eagles this week, and then the game tomorrow night.
We already did. Thought we already migrated into this. What did you think out of practice with the physicality on defense and the just on offense again?
Unsurprising, because the Phillies are a top 5 team and you're a bottom 5 in reality. They controlled it pretty much how they wanted to. The Patriots have again continued to struggle on offense to really implement penalties. O-line still doesn't look both set or good in reality. You could argue no, they do know who their front 5 is going to be, but at the moment it could be Maffey in center. And Vidarian Lowe as left tackle, and you got to think surely 6 months ago that wasn't you've not improved the O-line on last year, and it was such a problem last year. It seems frustrating.
It's starting to feel like, how can they have been caught out so much
by the O-line this week? We'll see how it goes in the game. Obviously, we don't know. I said the Panthers rested 33 players, I think, in there. We don't. The Eagles are going to do that, or whether they're going to treat this like their ones are going to play most of the first half, and so it really is going to be a challenge, a test for you. We shall see. The word on the street is that Drake May is going to be treated as the starter for this game, which I like. I'd like in all games. I'd love to have seen him got more reps last week. I hope we see him get more reps this week, and he is treated like the starter. The development he needs. Yes, go on. Claire's finger has a question.
Well, because we should be wrapping up because we're really running out of time. One question I want to ask you to wrap up with really is, what are you not expecting, but what are you wanting from this Eagles game? What would make you happy as a result? And I don't necessarily mean win or loss, because obviously it's preseason, like you said, it doesn't matter. What is the situation that you walk away from the Eagles game on Thursday that would make Chudders happy?
Development of Drake May. He's out there for maybe the first half or most of it, and that he puts some drives together. I'm not saying I want to see him hang up 3 touchdowns and a field goal, but that he's able to string some drives together, move the ball down the field, maybe get in field goal range. Maybe they go for it on 4th down inside the 20. They don't make it, but that they string something together, and he shows that he's now able to take some leadership of the offense, and not necessarily the final product. Like I say, that okay, now we know it's his team and start week 1, but progress. Okay, we went for something like 10 snaps last week. It wasn't many 6. At all. There we are, 6 snaps last week. Okay, I hope we see more, and I hope we see a bit of progress. Maybe we hear he's getting a good relationship with Polk and Baker. Let's see that on the field against quality opposition. It might not necessarily always be against the Eagles' number 1 defense. It could be the backups, but against a good defense, which the Eagles have, are you able to string something together? Are you able to show that's what I'd like to see? What about for you? Or it's a preseason game, you don't care. If they play well, you don't care 'cause it's preseason. If they get the doors blown out, you don't care 'cause it's preseason.
No, yeah, I do care if they get their doors blown off, to be honest with you. That would still bother me because I still want good football to watch. It just feels like I'm waiting to see what they can really do. This isn't what they're gonna, but it might be what they can really do. So I agree with you on the Drake thing. I wouldn't be unhappy to see that. I don't know, to be honest with you, what I really want to see. Actually, to enjoy the game, a lot of good tight endage. That would make me enjoy the game because it doesn't ultimately mean anything. So just quality reps, not loads of penalties, playing like a football team. I just want to see those sorts of things, which is what we would expect anyway. So it's difficult to want to expect what they should be doing regardless. So that's why I'm finding preseason hard this year.
I think the other thing is there's no one standing out, particularly on offense. There's no one standing out, and that's quarterbacks, that's receivers, in some extent, it's O-line. There's no one that you're going, that's the guy. That's the guy. That could be a reason why this season's better than last season. There's no receiver that are winning jump ball or burning defenders, and you think, wow, this could be a reason. If we can make him work, this connection work, or, arms bombing downfield, or Drake May's dominating, he's looking ahead of his schedule. There's no reason at the moment why we're looking at this and thinking this could be better than last season. That's the worry I think that's going through. There's a hope, but there's no evidence.
But we have only had the first preseason game. There's 2 left to go, folks. And on that note, we will be wrapping up because we will be back in 2 weeks following the Washington game. Am I right now? Yeah, we'll be back after the Washington game. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right, okay.
and then we can talk. To be honest, I think that's 2 teams who went into this off-season on fairly similar ground. New head coaches, new quarterbacks. They needed to rebuild. They'd had poor seasons. They needed to be going in the opposite direction. Now, obviously, the Commanders were picking 1 pick ahead of us, so we couldn't have gone in identical paths, but we've gone very similar paths with how we look to rebuild. I think it's going to be a good benchmarking exercise of how have the 2 teams off seasons gone, because I did like Daniels, as everyone knows. I think the way they've treated him in their preparation, he is their quarterback, and they've made that clear, and he's starting. They've approached his development in a different way than we've approached our development with Drake May, by all accounts, and I may be wrong. And so it'll be interesting to see how that game plays out. How do they treat them on the day? Does Drake May play the whole game? Or not the whole game, but does he play the most of the game? Does Daniels sit? Does he only do 6 snaps? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see not only the end results, but what the coaching and the way that they handle their teams is, and how that plays out in the longer term as well. Because there's more than one. You've seen it with the Bears as well, and the way that they've been constructing their team, the way they've been treating Caleb as he's their starter. There's different ways that teams have gone about it, and it's not necessarily a right way or wrong way. You can see the way the Packers have done it over the years with bringing players in as number 2s for a long time behind veteran quarterbacks, and how that's been successful or not, depending on what you think of Love. There's different ways of doing it, and so it'll be interesting to see, I think, in a direct comparison, 2 teams that have had very parallel off seasons, how they then score against each other.
Can I wrap up now?
You can wrap up now. Sorry, apologies.
Apologies, folks. I did try and wrap up because we are on a time restraint and we have gone over again. So I do apologise to you. Next time we probably will go over again because, as you can tell, Chudders will be giving some Jaden Daniels love because it will be following the Washington game. So brace yourselves for that one, folks, because I really am, truly. So, yes, we will be back within about 2 weeks to give you reactions from the Eagles game and also from the Washington game from new superfan Chudders, a kid, obviously. So, that is it for episode 32 of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Folks, please do not, as always, forget to be subscribing to the YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode of this crazy show that always tends to run over. And tune in next time, folks. And as always, go Pats.
Left